When we don't know where else to turn, many of us settle for a vision of happiness that goes something like this. I want to go to a good school and get a good job and find a good partner and have some nice vacations with my well-behaved kids. And then I want to grow old and healthy and retire comfortably and die easy. I want to walk on a road to happiness that isn't too demanding or uncomfortable. And if along the way, I take a few Instagram-worthy photos of all of us having the time of our lives, I wouldn't complain. I think that would make me happy. And I get that. I really do. But is this truly enough to satisfy us when maybe deep down we have this seemingly unquenchable desire for a grand adventure, for heroism, sacrifice, duty, purpose, and significance? Will an Instagram-worthy life of, in actuality, good enoughs really be, well, enough? Sure, everyone else seems satisfied with that vision of happiness, but if we really take a deeper look, where does it take us? French essayist Michel de Montaigne wrote during the 16th century, but his philosophies still trickle down into modern ideas about living. Montaigne endured times of religious war and extreme famine, and looking around himself at the violence that came from deeply held religious beliefs and ideas of nobility and virtue, which seemed to justify large-scale slaughter, he wrote about a new way of being human, a new way of thinking and being in the world. And he saw longings and desires in the human heart for happiness, meaning, contentment, and greatness. And he saw people trying to satisfy those desires through self-righteous violence and bloody victory. He defined his society's problem as caring too much about the future while not caring enough for the very people fighting for it. According to Montaigne, people cared too much about capital T truths like nobility, duty, virtue, and justice. His solution was to live deeply rooted in the moment. He claimed that if we have enough variety in our entertainment and our goals and our relationships, we can quell those desires for something more meaningful and finally feel at home in ourselves, in the present moment and in this world. For Montaigne, satisfying these desires to be significant, to be a part of a bigger story, is possible if only we can manage our time, our activities, and our relationships. And he suggested that the answer was variety and balance. He advocated for and affirmed the significance of ordinary life. That little voice that wants something more from life, he said, well, that's a trick and a lie. Ordinary life is enough to make you happy. You just have to learn how to manage your life well. According to authors Benjamin and Jenna Silberstory, Montaigne's definition of true contentment teaches a human being to seek happiness like a cat lying in the sun. He's telling us to settle for variety, not substance, the here and now-ness of things, rather than the grand adventure. At first glance, his message seems to offer hope because it means we're not missing out on some big secret. Our life in itself is meaningful because there is actually nothing else out there. The present moment is all you have. So spend your time building a life that quiets those doubts and mixes things up with variety and distractions. But haven't we tried this? I have. I've heard that little voice of doubt that this life that on paper looks pretty good is not enough. So I've signed up for the Orange Theory class. I've bought the yoga app subscription. I've booked the trip. I've tried the new restaurant in town. I've redecorated and switched up my wardrobe and found a new show to watch. And for a while, it does make me feel better. But nothing lasts. Montaigne would probably tell us to just keep the variety coming. Just sign up for a new class. Cook or buy or watch something different. But eventually we're going to run out of ideas, or we're just going to get tired of the endless search for something new and entertaining. What's interesting is that our world is constantly parroting Montaigne, telling us that happiness can be found with enough diversion, with enough variety. Look at any commercial. They all promise that if you buy this mascara or drink this drink or book that vacation rental or wear this or eat that, you will have the glamorous life being played out by the beautiful actors on the screen. And so when we try all the things and happiness doesn't come, then we feel this deep sense of failure. If it's working for everyone else, then why not me? Do you feel stuck in this endless cycle? to be present in this moment, but this present moment stinks and it's torture because I'm not happy and I don't know how to quiet my own internal voice. So I distract myself with social media and parties and shopping and performance and fitness, and then I shame myself for not living in the present moment, and I try living in the present moment, and I feel distressed that I don't actually really like myself. Repeat forever. Well, not that we're here for a history lesson, but Montaigne's ideas were critiqued by another French philosopher, Blaise Pascal. And he saw people faithfully trying to follow Montaigne's ideas of living in the present with enough variety to keep themselves entertained and happy. And he noticed that those little voices of doubt and dissatisfaction were still there. They were just buried deeper. They were kept more secret for fear of revealing that they'd failed or that something was uniquely wrong with them. Pascal said that to be human is to yearn for a sense of wholeness that we perhaps had at one time, but now is utterly elusive. We're haunted by longing. Does that resonate with you? We're haunted by longing. And Pascal says that there is no such thing as finding long-term happiness in the present moment, because it takes an unprecedented amount of variety and distraction to keep those voices of discontentment at bay. And maybe we see this in the lives of celebrities and social media stars, the money and the resources it takes to stay happy. And even then, is it true happiness if it is only battling back the truth of our dissatisfaction? Alice de Tocqueville wrote of this as well, and he described it as a restless unease beneath our cheerful busyness. If we're honest, I believe many of us feel haunted by this little voice that just won't let up. And this voice says, is this really all there is? Is this really what I've worked so hard for? And more than the questions, the condemnations can haunt us. You aren't trying hard enough. You're a failure. Everyone else is happy. You're selfish and greedy to want more. Why is this not enough for you? Something must be wrong with you because everyone else has it figured out. Well, here's the secret. We're all haunted and too ashamed to admit it. And an internal soundtrack of lies is interrupting our best intentions. Most of us keep this little voice of unhappiness a secret because we're convinced that we're the only ones that are hearing it, when in reality, the data suggests otherwise. Young people today are experiencing unprecedented amounts of anxiety compared with their predecessors. Suicide rates are on the rise. According to a recent report from the CDC, the suicide rate among people aged 10 to 24 climbed 56% in a decade. Every 11 minutes in America, someone dies from an opiate overdose. According to the World Happiness Report, a landmark study which looked at over 156 different countries, overall rates of happiness are declining. Could it be that we've inherited a way of thinking that has already been played out to its end? We're so convinced that this is a new idea, that it's a discarding of the old rules in exchange for a supposed new freedom. But people in history have already tried this distraction thing, this good enough until it's not, so try something new thing. And they discovered that if their goal was happiness, then this strategy did not get them there. So I ask, is there something else we've left behind? Ideas about being human that we've dismissed as outdated or irrelevant, that we actually really need, that really solve this problem? Could we be open-minded enough to consider the possibility that in dismissing what we have found to be flawed and imperfect in the personal, spiritual stories of our past, that we've actually lost some of the lessons that could help us? Have we lost our very selves, lost a sense of who we are as human beings and what we truly need to flourish? I'm going to encourage you to be brave enough just to try it on. Wear these ideas for a bit and see what your life might feel like if you believed them. I'm not asking you to consent to them. No tattoos yet. Let's just entertain their possibilities.